Hey, Steve Ross here, Alternate Reality Channel, and I want to, it is Hawaiian Shirt Monday, and what I wanted to do today is just tell you a bunch of stories, some of the funny stories from, that didn't make the book. And of course there's a lot of funny stories in the book. Somebody who just bought the book last week told me she was a couple chapters into it, and just talked to her yesterday. And she said she was loving it. She thought it was hilarious. And so hopefully she'll continue to enjoy it. And hopefully you guys out there who have read it have enjoyed it. Please comment, sign up, subscribe, hit the bell so you can get notifications of new videos coming out. And like and share it with your friends. And but this one is about some stories that didn't make the book. Now, there's a lot of stories that didn't make the book that I'm not going to tell you. There's the cat and the Q-tip. You just imagine what that one is. But there's a lot of mischievous, devious stories that cannot make a video, a book, anything. I've told some in person to people, but nothing in writing, nothing on video, and it's going to stay that way. But hopefully I've got a little bit of stories here that I could share that that didn't quite make the book, and for reasons that I'll explain for each story. But I had a lot of Navy stories. A couple of them I'm going to share with you. A lot of them I cannot share for reasons being this is basically a PG-13 thing. But anyway, if you're interested in buying the book to hearing the other stories other than these, www.thealternaterealitybook.com, and you can order it through there. The cheapest way is about $15 through the publisher's website, and there's a link there. If you go to my website, it'll show you, just click on that one to buy it through the publisher's website. I've also got free samples on my website, so you can look at, I think there's 4 different stories from different chapters that I put as free samples of the book. So if you want to take a look at those and see if this is something you'd be interested in. And anyway, I want to get started with telling some messed up stories from my life, and hopefully you'll enjoy this. So we go to Germany, northern Germany, for something called Keel Week. Keel Week is like a Oktoberfest for the navies. So there's our Navy, the German Navy, Australian Navy, English Navy, the French Navy. All these navies are there. And again, so the thing about Germany is the beer is so much more potent. And they have, just like if you go to Busch Gardens or a place like that, they sell them in these liter mugs. And one of the guys figured, we got a lot of geeks that work in our divisions and stuff, and one of the guys had calculated out the average liter of beer had the same alcohol content as 7.2 cans of beer in America. We go out there, and when we're at the beer hall, we after every liter or mug of beer that we drink, we get a shot of grain alcohol. And the lady that brings around the grain alcohol doesn't speak a word of English. So we started calling her Nice Butt because she had a nice butt. So all we have to do is start yelling, "Nice butt, nice butt." And she would come running over and give each one of us a shot. So we do the shots. And so we're drinking each liter, 7.2 cans of beer, alcohol equivalent, and a shot of grain alcohol. We had just regular schnapps a couple times. But it's still schnapps. But anyway, we're drinking approximately 10 to 14 of these liters, followed by a shot every night. You get so hammered that the next day you go on the ship, and you have to, that's your duty day, so you got 24 hours, and the whole 24 hours you're still drunk because you still have so much alcohol in your system. So you're still drunk. And then the next day you get off and you get to go back on shore and start drinking all over again. So you got 2 nights in a row of drinking like this. And every night we were there, me and another guy, Dan, God rest his soul, Dan Burris, good friend of mine, we had a lot of fun together. Me and Dan were like the heaviest heavyweights as far as being able to drink. And me and him had at least 13 every night we did this. And so we're getting hammered every night and just had an absolute blast doing it. And where everybody else would have to go back to the ship early, it was usually just me and Dan still hanging there with the German Navy guys. And everybody else had gone. It's just Germans and me and Dan. But we had an absolute blast. Somewhere, one of the guys from my ship has pictures of me undressing a girl at the beer hall. Because for some reason, I don't remember why, I couldn't find a belt or whatever. I was wearing suspenders, or maybe it was a fashion thing back then. I don't know. It was mid-'80s. But anyway, this girl had the hots for me, and she decided to take off my suspenders and tie them around her waist. About this time, I noticed guys are getting their cameras out to take pictures. And me being inebriated, I thought, well, I tried to, because she tied it in a knot and then wrapped her hands around it like this, and I couldn't get her hands undone. I didn't want to hurt her. I'm in a foreign country. I can't, hurt one of their citizens. And but anyway, she won't let go, and people are getting the cameras out, and they're getting ready to start taking pictures. I'm married at this time, and so my drunk brain realizes that, hey, if I get her to let go, then I can untie it, and then I'm fine. When actually all I had to do was unsnap the suspenders from the other side of me and then just walk away. But being inebriated, drunk, I didn't think straight. So in my mind, if I start undressing her, eventually she has to let go and hold her clothes on. So I told her that I don't even think she spoke English at all. I didn't speak German, she didn't speak English. But anyway, so I slowly start undressing her. And I get to the point where I've got her shirt unbuttoned all the way down, and I start pulling it apart like this. And there's flashes going off everywhere. These guys from my ship are taking pictures. And afterwards they were telling me that they were going to blackmail me with these pictures. And so eventually I got to a certain point and she let go, and I got the thing untied and I was free. And of course I'm not telling anything else that happened that night. However, there are guys from my ship that still have some pictures of that. So you guys know my Facebook. If you can send me a copy of those pictures if you got them, that would be great. So that's just another one of my partying stories in the Navy. And but Keel Week, that was a blast. Germany was beautiful. If you ever have a chance to go to Germany, Germany was beautiful. I loved it. But I'm not sure what it looks like now, but back then, this is the mid-'80s, it was beautiful and really nice people. Enjoyed it a lot. One of the things that went on was we went to the beer hall pretty much every day, and it was packed. If you ever gone to like Busch Gardens to their beer hall, it's kind of like that. And anyway, it's packed. And we're packed in right next to each other, and all of a sudden this guy comes over. He looked like he was about 50 or maybe even more, and he has a woman with him that looks like she's in her mid-20s, maybe 30. And he's trying to squeeze her in between me and another guy, Rich. I'm not saying any last names, but Rich was one of those chick magnets. So anyway, he's trying to squeeze her in, and there's only one guy that's with us from our ship that speaks German, and his name was Adams. And we're like, whoa, whoa, whoa! We're about to kick this guy's butt. He's trying to squeeze this girl in, and we're thinking he's going to squeeze himself in too, and there's just no room. And so finally we get Adams to talk to him, and Adams starts laughing, and we're like, what's so funny? And he said, this is what the gentleman is saying. He's saying to you, Rich, this is my wife. She likes you. Take her home tonight. We're like, what? And of course, Rich didn't. Rich was married. He was a gentleman. And as far as I know, Rich did not do anything. But anyway, people were so open there. It was a different world. And we're sitting there, and there was like a 3-year-old girl, and her mom was holding the, I don't have one that big, but a liter beer mug, and the mom is holding it while the 3-year-old is drinking. Totally different world than what we have here, but had a great time in Germany back then, and so that was one of my beer hall stories. I've got some more on here, and hope you enjoy my stories. One of the things that happened, we were coming into port, and I can't remember what port it was, but I came down to the berthing where everybody's racks are, where everybody sleeps and watches TV and showers and stuff. There's 55 electricians that lived in that one space, and I come down, and they got on the blackboard. And I think it was a dry erase board, but anyway, they have a whole bunch of names on there with odds. And I was looking at it, and they're taking bets and money and stuff. And I said, what's going on here? And they said, oh, we're taking bets on who's going to be the first one to catch a venereal disease. And I said, I looked at it, and I was like, how come I'm not on there? They said, well, we had you on there first, but nobody would take money against you. So we had to take you off of it because you were 1-to-1 favorite to win it, and nobody would take the bet against you. And so anyway, it was Denmark or Holland. So anyway, we everybody goes, and we go out on town, and I ended up getting separated from everybody else. And I found out the next day that they ended up in some live sex show where they encouraged people to join from the crowd. And the one guy who had been out with me several times before and knew me quite well ever since nuclear power school in Orlando, he said they were trying to get volunteers and nobody would volunteer. And he was in the I've got to use my fake name here. He was looking at the guys. He's like, "Where's Steve? Where's Steve? Steve would do it." So yeah, I would have jumped right up there, no problem. So because I roll like that. But there's some pretty freaky things that go on sometimes in foreign ports. But a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in places, but for the most part, overall not fun. There's a couple ports that were fun. So I got a couple more stories about that stuff.